guess right after Raw, if you had the WWE Network, you could witness Stone Cold Steve Austin's second ever live in-studio podcast. This time, his guest was Triple H, and he had a lot to say. Triple H talked forever.
Yeah, and if you didn't catch it on the WWE Network, right after our Raw review, you can watch our live podcast review.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We're recording live.
Man, that's true. I'm recording dead.
Oh, shit.
That's that smell.
Happens.
Whew. I thought that was your Michael Colt breath.
I brush my teeth.
I have to give you a high five at least once per session.
You're an asshole.
I know.
What do you think about the podcast, Travis Colt?
Say that again?
What do you think about the podcast, Travis Colt?
I thought it was funny the way you said my name.
Travis Colt.
Well, Kevin Huck.
Yeah.
Did I spit on you?
Say it, don't spray it.
Kevin.
Ew, you make like gross drooly noises in my ear.
Anyway.
I don't think that's true.
None of this is going to be about the podcast. No, I enjoyed the podcast. I listen to the Steve Austin show on a regular basis. And I've heard Triple H on Talk is Jericho before. So, you know, getting to see the person actually, you know, watching him actually have this conversation. You know, you get the body language, you get, you know, just kind of, you see the person in that element. It was good to see Triple H. Triple H is savvy, so he's not gonna freak out, you know, having this conversation.
Yeah.
Him and Stone Cold know each other really well, and it was very much a conversation. It was a personal conversation, breaking down kayfabe, which was one of the conversations that they had.
That was probably my favorite part of the whole podcast, and it was fairly early on in the show.
Yeah, it was within like the first 15 minutes of it.
And they basically talking about this, like, hey, you know, I mean, we still keep kayfabe to a degree, but the fact that people know so much about the behind-the-scenes workings, you know, basically real life is now the kayfabe of nowadays. And, you know, how do you book in a world that really doesn't have kayfabe?
Yeah, and
you know, how difficult that is and stuff.
And you can't. I mean, you can't make everyone happy, and they understand that. But it's even harder when you have so many different sources that can give all this information out that they, you know, it's almost as if they have no control over what they're doing. It's like okay, hey, we have this idea. Oh, look, the idea's on the internet all of a sudden. So, you know, it's hard to take that and roll with the punches when, you know, you haven't even been able to test a certain thing and people are already ripping it apart.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's kind of what they're doing with WWE. We're in the reality era where everything.
That's what Triple H called it. I thought that was a good name for it.
It's perfect because that's exactly what it is. Is we know so much about the inner workings of the company, of the writing process, that, you know, us included, you know, we think we know what's best for business.
I know what's best for business. I just know.
Do you?
Yeah.
What's best for business, Thomas Wolf?
Titties.
Can't argue with that.
Damn straight.
So Nikki Bella as Divas Champion is good.
No, I'm not talking about wrestling. I'm talking about the titty business.
Oh, the titty business.
Yeah.
The titty business.
Yeah.
Is the titty business booming right now?
Always.
It's actually
It's booming.
It's run by Dean Ambrose.
He's the master of the titty business.
The titty master. All right. God.
Eventually, I'm gonna have something constructive to say about the podcast.
Well, I already said my piece. You're saying your piece, little guy, and then Tom's gonna have his piece.
Yeah.
I hope.
All right. Start putting together a thought about the podcast.
I also
more than just the word banana.
Okay.
Which around 24 minutes.
No banana and no titties. Got it.
Watch Triple H say banana. It's the We watched it 4 or 5 times.
It was good.
It was hilarious.
Worth rewinding.
Yeah, it was just it was cool to see Triple H, although he did kind of have to give corporate answers.
Yeah.
I definitely think the whole thing was pulled a lot more than the Vince podcast
Yeah,
was.
Vince is just... I think Vince thinks kayfabe is more alive and well than it actually is, which is why he was so... he was so corporate in his answers. He was such a politician. He was like, oh, I can only say this much because I can't give away too much. And it's like, Triple H is like, this is the way it is. He was willing to explain the way things are working, the way things are going, and how he has to adapt and work with that.
Here's my theory on the way Triple H handled the podcast. I felt like Triple H wanted to avoid answering as many questions as he could by drawing out the length of his answers as long as he could draw them out. He was very wordy, so I was like, he's going to go by volume, so he has to answer less questions.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot more, because I felt like the podcast with Vince, they got on a lot more questions and a lot more different topics. So I was like, because Vince was very...
Yeah, the answers were shorter.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'd like to see them do the podcast again with somebody else, though.
But I was...
Heyman.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I've heard Heyman on the Stone Cold's podcast like 3 times now. But to see the live one would be... I'd be extremely interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I wonder if Triple H, because I honestly don't know, I wonder if Triple H was giving longer answers because he was trying to avoid questions, or just because he wanted to thoroughly answer the question that was presented to him.
I think the latter, honestly. I think, Triple H...
I'm the only one here that is accusing Triple H of being a shady motherfucker.
Oh, I think Triple H is a shady motherfucker. It's no secret that when they were talking about the screw job, Triple H was the one who was the first to say, fuck him. If he doesn't want to do business, fuck Bret Hart. So I know he's a shady motherfucker. I just wonder if it was shady here, or if it was, if he wanted to give detail. Or maybe a little of both. I think I like this question, so I'm going to give as much detail to avoid a potentially hazardous question later.
And one of the things that he did delve into a lot, because it is his project, is he talked about NXT, the Performance Center.
His office and headquarters has a direct feed to the camera in the Performance Center.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So he can legitimately be there, writing out TV tapings or, just doing business in general. Then one of the trainers says, hey, Hunter, this guy wants to show you something. He brings it up on the TV in his office and is able to communicate with that person while still doing his work.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's what speakerphone was invented for, I think.
Goddamn right it was.
Performance Center.
Yeah. One day, WWE's going to have this training facility. I don't know what it's going to be called. It's going to be really...
One day, WWF.
Yeah. It's gonna be really advanced for what it is. It's gonna be centered around performance. Yeah. So we're gonna need something to just get easy communication.
Triple H is Batman. That is the Batcave. He has a direct line.
Oh, I thought that was what he called Stephanie.
Oh. Ow.
Not in a bad way. It's just
she's just wide open, dark, dingy, and full of bats.
No, it's just what he likes to go into all the time.
This is delving into weird shit.
I think Batman would rather go to Gotham.
I don't know.
So that would make Stephanie
splayed out, bright, and full of criminals.
Yeah. Dirty and corrupt.
Okay.
I'm having fun.
Danger at every turn.
Dead parents everywhere.
Intrigue. And you should have a protective suit when you get in there. A lot of gadgets. So the podcast happened.
Oh, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd like to go on about it more, but I definitely don't have as much to say about it as I did with the Vince one. I found myself much more entertained by the Vince podcast.
Yeah,
Because it's more fun to watch Vince dance around a question.
Yeah.
Because he gets nervous. Triple H just talked. Triple H was having a conversation with Stone Cold.
Yeah, and I heard far enough of Triple H talking on Raw. It's just like, God.
Triple H, you should have
I'm tired of Triple H promos.
You should not have had as many promos. Like, just have a Raw without promos because you're going to be talking for an hour on the podcast.
Well, who's going to get all the promos? Raw would have sucked.
Steph.
She had promos?
Yeah, but, like, Steph could just do the promos without Triple H.
But she was in, like, almost every promo that Triple H was in.
So take Triple H out of all the promos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we don't get bored of Triple H before he goes onto the podcast.
I wasn't bored of Triple H. I don't get bored of Triple H.
Or Michael Cole.
I enjoy Triple H's dedication to the business and, you know, the thoughts that he has towards whether it's NXT, the writing process, the way the reality era is. I was entertained by the whole thing. I actually want to go back and watch again so I can, you know, focus on certain points and just kind of get his opinions on things. Because I've listened to his interview on Talk Is Jericho.
I feel like
I've listened to it a couple times.
That's the big thing for me. He didn't give his opinion on things enough. Like, he talked about NXT, and he's like, yeah, NXT, it's doing great. We got a lot of great guys. There's some guys who aren't as strong as others in these areas. There's some guys who come in and try to do their own style, and we need them to do the WWE style. But, like, I wanted to know who he had in mind.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily...
Well, he's not going to call people
not
out
necessarily
like
the bottom of the class, but, like, the top of the class.
Well, he mentioned Finn Balor.
Well, yeah.
Like, the fact
but
that
but he didn't say, oh, Finn Balor is, like, a guy who is, like, my favorite guy in NXT, or, like, you know... I see what you're getting at, because it was very like, okay, Stone Cold asks a question, so here's kind of like the factual answer.
Yeah.
Like, here's how things are working, as opposed to saying like, well, here's my opinion on this and how cool it is, or how great I think so and so is.
Well, if you want opinions on people that came from NXT, listen to his podcast with Jericho.
Yeah,
Because he delves into that.
But that was a long time ago now.
It wasn't that long ago. It was the summer.
In wrestling, in like the wrestling business, that was a long fucking time ago.
Okay.
Like in wrestling
The
time.
book that never ends.
Yeah.
That's a podcast, right?
That was a really cool conversation. Was
Yeah.
you know
Just a book
the
that never reads.
okay,
Some
lamb
people
chop.
started reading, not knowing what it was.
How much time we got left?
Like 2 minutes.
Alright, should we wrap this up?
Minute 5.
Half of this is getting cut out anyway.
Final thoughts. No, this needs to be all in there. It's
Talking about Stephanie McMahon being the Batcave?
Yes.
No! It was not part of the podcast.
Yes.
Anyway,
It's only 15 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
not...
This doesn't need any editing. Like, comment, subscribe. It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Please. I saw Red Link say that once, so I'm trying it out. We get emails, Twitters.
Tweeters.
Tweeter. Do we have, what other? Pinterest?
no.
Tumblr?
Yes.
Something.
Yeah.
Tumblr.
Facebook.
Facebook.
That's
Email.
I already said email.
YouTube.
My personal email.
You can get a
Email
hold-
me something. I'm disappointed every time I log into my email. Kevin_Hawk636@hotmail.com. Yes, there are people who still use hotmail.com.
Or if you have a general question for all of us, you can find us at fanstalkwrestling@gmail.com.
Or you can post in the comments.
Post the comment. That's the
We'll
best
read
place.
them. We will read every comment.
He'll read it and then report it back to me because I don't read comments on. I realize this as I'm going through YouTube. I don't read comments on videos.
I usually scroll down, and if like the first 4 or 5 piss me off, I stop.
I usually scroll down, and if the first 4 or 5 piss me off, I keep reading. If
We have very different views on the internet.
like if it pisses me off, I'm way more interested in it.
Yeah.
So,
Go to the next video.
yeah,
There's
there's
this
a playlist.
one had no. This one offered no substance.
Comment
Why did we do it?
if you
Funsies.
if you try and piss off Thomas Wolfe, he'll get into
I'll
it.
fight you in real life.
If you try to piss off
He'll fight you in comment life.
Travis, he'll
Fight you
stop
in
reading.
every life.
If you try and piss me off,
No, if you call me out, then I'll talk back to you, and we'll have a discussion.
call him out. I want to see what happens.
Do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Comment on me in real life.
I want to see how butthurt you can try and make this guy.
Words don't hurt me.
Not as much as Michael Colt.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.